It was the third night without fire. The valley was dark, the kind of dark that doesn't just hide things, it swallows them. I could hear something moving in the brush to the east, low, heavy, patient. My sheep were already pressed together. They knew before I did. I was 16 years old, alone on a hillside outside Bethlehem, and I had nothing in my hands but a staff and a name I had been calling all night. The only name that ever answered me. They never expected anything from me. 7 brothers, warriors, farmers, men with shoulders like walls. And then there was me, Jesse's youngest, the one they sent to watch the sheep, the one who wasn't even called inside when the prophet came. My name is David, son of Jesse of Bethlehem, and I want to tell you about the years nobody saw. Before the palace, before the crown, before the battles and the psalms and everything that came after. I want to tell you about the hills. There is a loneliness that belongs only to the forgotten. Not the loneliness of being alone in a room, but the loneliness of being invisible in a family, of watching your brothers receive what you were never offered, of working faithfully in a place no one visits for people who never say your name. That was my life. Day after day, season after season, just me and the sheep and the open sky. But here is what the solitude gave me that nothing else could. God. When there is no one else to talk to, you talk to Him. When there is nothing to distract you, you hear Him. When you have nothing to prove to anyone, you discover who you actually are. The hills of Bethlehem were my seminary, and God was my only teacher. I want to tell you about the lion. It came in the early morning, when the mist was still low. I counted my sheep as I always did. 112. I counted again. 111. I heard the sound before I saw it. A lamb, one of the younger ones, barely 2 months old, had wandered to the edge of the flock, and a lion had taken it. Every logical thought I had told me to let the animal go. A lamb for a lion is a reasonable trade when you are 16 and alone. You survive. You go home. You say nothing. But something in me refused. I have thought about that moment many times since. Why did I run after it? I was not brave. I want to be honest about that. My hands were shaking. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my throat. I was terrified. But I was also something else. Responsible. Those sheep were given to me, every one of them. Not by my father, by God. And I had learned, slowly, through all those quiet nights on the hill, that when God gives you something to protect, He does not abandon you in the protecting of it. I ran after the lion with nothing but a staff and a name, and the name was enough. That night, after the lamb was safe and the lion was gone, I sat on a stone at the edge of the flock. My hands had finally stopped shaking, and I began to understand something. I had been cared for, not just tonight, every night. Every cold night when the fire went out, and I somehow stayed warm. Every hungry morning when I somehow found water in a dry season. Every dark valley where I somehow walked out the other side. It was not luck. It was not survival instinct. It was a shepherd, a real one. And I began to put words to what I had been living. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. Not a shepherd, not one of many. My shepherd, personal, chosen. The God of heaven had decided that I, the forgotten one, the youngest, the boy nobody called inside, I was His specific responsibility. And because He is my shepherd, I shall not want. Not, I will try not to want. Not, I hope not to want. I shall not want. It is a declaration, not a wish. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. Psalm 23:2. I knew these pastures. I had walked through them hundreds of times, not always understanding that I had been led there. I thought I had found them. I thought I had been lucky. Now I understood. He makes me lie down. There is intention in it. There is provision in it. Even rest is something he orchestrates. And the still waters. A shepherd knows that sheep will not drink from rushing water. It frightens them. God does not drag us to the river and force us in. He leads us to still waters. He is patient with our fear. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Psalm 23:3. There had been nights on those hills when I felt something break inside me. A loneliness so deep it felt like grief. A smallness so heavy it felt like shame. And then morning would come, and something would shift. I would feel not just better, but restored. Like a vessel that had been emptied and refilled. He restores my soul. This is not about physical rest. This is about the parts of you that get worn down by invisibility, by rejection, by the weight of being unseen. God restores those parts, specifically, deliberately, for his name's sake, because he is the kind of God who does not leave the broken thing broken. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. I knew the valley. There is a specific ravine outside Bethlehem. The shepherds call it the Shadow Pass. It is narrow, rocky, and dark even at midday. Lions use it. Robbers use it. I had walked through it many times because it was the only path to the eastern pastures. You cannot go around it. You must go through. But notice, the psalm does not say, if I walk through. It says, even though I walk through. The dark valley is not an exception to the life of someone who trusts God. It is a passage in it. The valley is part of the journey, not evidence that God has abandoned you. I will fear no evil. Not because the valley is safe. It isn't. Not because nothing bad can happen. It can. But because you are with me. And the shepherd who faced the lion for one lost lamb will walk through every shadow with you. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Psalm 23:5a. The rod is for fighting. The staff is for guiding. One protects, the other directs. I learned something carrying a staff for years. The same tool that guides you is the same shape as the weapon that protects you. God's direction and God's protection are not separate things. They are the same hand, carrying the same instrument, doing two different works at once. His correction, even when it feels like discipline, is comfort, because it means he has not stopped paying attention to where you are going. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Psalm 23:5. Years later, when Saul was trying to kill me, when I was hiding in caves, when men I had loved turned against me, I would think back to this. God did not wait for my enemies to be defeated before he blessed me. He set a table in the middle of the battlefield. He said, "Sit down, eat. I am still your provider." The enemy's presence does not cancel my provision. Whatever war you are in right now, God is setting a table in the middle of it. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23:6. Not maybe, not if I'm good enough. Surely, goodness and mercy, not just for the easy days, but for all the days. The failed days, the days I would later be ashamed of, the days in the cave, the days after the worst decisions I would ever make. All of them. And at the end of all those days, the house of the Lord, forever. The forgotten shepherd boy from Bethlehem, invited permanently into the presence of the God who never once forgot him. I did not know, sitting on that stone in the dark, that I would one day be king of Israel. I did not know that the same faith I built on those quiet hills would be the only thing that held me together when everything else collapsed. When the palace felt like a prison. When the people I loved betrayed me. When I looked in the mirror and did not recognize the man looking back. But this is what I know. He was my shepherd before I had the language to call him that. He was providing before I knew I was lacking. He was leading before I understood I was being guided. He was with me in every valley I walked through alone. Declare this now, wherever you are. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Even now, He is restoring me. He leads me beside still waters. Even now, He is bringing me peace. Even in this valley, even in this darkness, I will fear no evil. Because you are with me. You are preparing something for me, even in the presence of what is against me. You are pouring out favor over my life. Surely, surely, goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. If you declared those words today, something shifted. Like this video, subscribe, and come back tomorrow, because there's more to receive.